This is one of Zimbabwe's largest printing and packaging factories. Every day, thousands of books, cartons, label, packaging materials are produced here. For a factory like this, production never stops because every order has a deadline, and every deadline depends on one thing: reliable electricity. But keeping machines like this running require an enormous amount of electricity. Even a brief power interruption can slow production, delay customer order, and cost the business money. For years, factories depended on large diesel generators to keep production going. Today, this factory is taking a different approach to power its operation. Stretching across the factory rooftop is a massive solar power system designed to keep one of Zimbabwe's busiest printing and packaging facilities running. But can solar really power a factory of this size? We traveled to Zimbabwe to find out. Currently one of the biggest printing companies right there in Zimbabwe. This place is called Paragon Printing and Packaging Factory, and they do a whole lot of printing and packaging right here. In today's video, I'll be taking you guys around to show you the work that they do here, how the printing works here commercially, but also I'll be showing you behind the scene how they actually power this entire operation using alternative source of energy. So this part of my survey, I'm showing you how businesses that operate in Africa are now moving towards a more cleaner, more reliable energy source than relying on the national grid or the diesel. You may be wondering, is it possible to power a commercial business like this just using solar system and battery system? That is what we'll be showing you in this video, so you can see how this operation actually works. So right now, this is the printing they're doing for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Many of you, of course, you eat KFC, so you're conversant with this. But actually seeing how this thing is actually produced, it's really, really interesting. So this is the machine that does it, and these are the guys that do the work. And this thing, you can see, it normally actually comes in paper form like this. All right? And then it's automatically wrapped, you know, designed and wrapped in here. So it's really, really interesting. It's really interesting to see how this works. Right now, these gentlemen are actually working on calendars, and while the other side that we earlier saw, they are printing for, you know, packaging items for fast food. So a lot of printing goes on here. So this is really, really huge. So I'm just going to walk around and just see how your business operation works and show you guys. I hope this also inspires someone to actually start up a huge printing press like this one. Right there, this one is just a cutting machine that cuts the entire thing. Precision.
On this one, it's a printing machine which has got an Intel stack. Right, you can search the jobs from where they are being designed. So I've got the database, which is what I'm looking at right now. Then I search.
Looking at the different jobs.
Yes. Then I can select the job I want to do, then load it on the machine. So these are processes where the machine does it automatically. All right. So this is the viewership of the job I'll be doing.
Before taking a closer look at the solar system, we first wanted to understand the factory itself. How does an operation of this size actually work, and where does all the electricity go? Because once production starts, every machine becomes part of a continuous manufacturing process, and the reliable power becomes essential. To answer this question, we spoke with the engineers behind the project.
Paragon is a leading printing and packaging company, paper printing and packaging, and they supply a lot of high-end brands of food packaging products. So most of their processes here are high-end printing machines and folder gluer machines. And on any typical day, they can draw up to 400, 500 kilowatts of power. The complication is if the grid drops out, then those processes are disrupted and they lose a lot of output productivity, right? So that was the kind of need there, as I mentioned. We have provided a system now. Initially it was 450 kilowatts of power with 9 machines, and we've now just installed the 10th machine, and so they have now 500 kilowatts of capacity. In this particular situation, our entire system is located in a complete fireproof vault. It was formerly a a document vault. And so it's a complete concrete structure with air conditioning. However, having said that, lithium is a very stable chemistry, and it's proven to be much safer actually than lead acid. Lead acid batteries give off hydrogen and poisonous explosive gases, whereas lithium is very, very, very stable. Lithium becomes less stable when it is damaged mechanically. For example, if it's crushed or punctured in some way. And so the location we've chosen, there's virtually no possibility of any kind of mechanical damage to these batteries. We also keep the batteries at a steady 26 degrees temperature through air conditioning. And so we are very confident, and with our suppliers, that these batteries are perfectly safe to use for this client. And they have a lifetime of approximately 10 to 15 years.
How long have you been operating?
For Dreamfire Investments, I started the company 2 years ago, but I was involved in the solar industry before that with another company primarily focused on working on the commercial solar solutions. Okay. So I got a lot of experience there, but I could see a few gaps in the market that weren't being capitalized on, and the company organization that I was with wasn't going in the same direction. So I stepped aside, started my own company, and worked hand in hand with them as equipment suppliers, but came to meet and greet with the customers who were actually in need of these solutions to overcome the serious challenges that they've been facing in Zimbabwe.
Great. So can you tell us some of the challenges you face carrying out installations or carrying out the solar installations around?
So on the installation side, there's not too many challenges. We've got a very skilled team. It's just getting familiar with new brands of equipment from time to time. The industry is moving so quickly. But the key is to explain to the clients themselves why they need these systems. Not a lot of people believe that commercial solar is possible. A lot of people have it at their homes, but not necessarily in these commercial settings, and they struggle sometimes to believe that a system could run a factory, for example. And so it's just showing the client that's sort of the main challenge to overcome, is to realize this is a much better alternative to diesel generators or any other alternative power, and it can carry these massive loads that people think that they can't.
This is really interesting. So tell us where we are right now and the capacity that you have for this installation.
So this is a site here in Zimbabwe, in Harare. The suburb is Granite Side. The company is Paragon Printing and Packaging, and they specialize in providing cardboard packaging products into the food industry, primarily like fast food, takeaways and all of that. So they're a very, very busy operation. And we got engaged with them in about June of 2023 to start discussing an alternative to the expensive tariffs that they had been paying to the utility grid. And also the utility grid is often down, and they were relying on a 500 kVA diesel generator, which is a very expensive running cost. And so we started looking into what sort of system design would help them to overcome those challenges and save them some money so that they had something to put back in their pocket every month. Because the unfortunate thing is, just because your consumption costs go up doesn't necessarily mean you can charge your customer more for the packaging that you're providing them. Right. So you've got to take on that cost somewhere, or find a way to get away from it, and that's where the solar system has come into play and is already reaping incredible benefits for them already.
How many kVA do you generate? How are you generating?
So we have 10 of these inverters, the Sun 50s, so that's a 500 kilowatt, 500 kVA inverter system. On the roof, we've got some panels. We've got 882 of the 555 watt Jinko panels.
882 panels.
On 9 of the inverters, plus another 96 of the 585 watt Jinkos. Even in that timeline, we went ahead with 8 inverters, then they added a 9th and a 10th. Even in that time, the technology was already moving. So 555s were the best ones then. Now we're up to 585s, and already on the market since this project has been completed, we're seeing panels above 700 watts now readily available on the market for virtually the same price. They also have a battery bank system, about 512 kilowatt hours, and that's made up of 100 batteries in this room here, just to get them through the cloudy weather sometimes, or when the national grid is not there, and a little bit into the nighttime consumption, because they are 24 hours per day.
So the energy generated here, is it used up 100% to power the system, or what percentage of energy generated that is used by the factory?
So at the moment, we are more than capable of meeting all their needs. There's a lot of surplus power. So once the batteries are full and their needs are met, the system idles, just keeping things going. But the new development that should be taking place in the next week is we're going to start sending the surplus power into the national grid to assist them. So then we'll see the system really going up to 100% efficiency, where none of the power will be wasted. It'll obviously prioritize the customer's loads first. It'll then make sure that the batteries are filled up, and then whatever power surplus after that can be sent back to the utility grid. And there's an arrangement with them where they can distribute that power as and when it's needed, which should hopefully bring down, with enough systems, load shedding will become less likely because there's more power available in the grid from these freestanding commercial solar plants.
Interesting. So one of the reasons why we are doing this documentary for me is to help many businesses that operate in Africa to see the possibility of using alternative and cleaner source of energy, and to see that it is possible that you can do that. So as someone who is an expert in the area, let's say a business owner who operates a commercial industry or operate a printing press like this, what are the 3 things you can say to them to convince them to go solar?
So there's a number of things. Obviously, we like to look at what the client needs as the priority. And saving costs for any business is a huge benefit. The more you save, the more profits that you are making, and the more competitive you can be in the market with selling your own products. So if you are paying expensive prices to consume the energy that's required to make your product, if you can reduce that, everything is a saving. You can become more competitive and make greater profits. So that's number 1. Number 2 is eliminating downtime. The worst part that any business can face, the national grid goes down, and now you've got a factory just sitting idle, no power in there. Maybe if you're fortunate enough, you might have a generator, but that's much more expensive than even the utility grid, and again, will cut into costs. And also some equipment, if the power is turned off middle of a run, it can actually damage whatever raw materials were in there, and you might have to throw that away or reprocess it to start again. So downtime is a really significant problem to any business. And the beauty of the solar system with a bit of a battery bank is that even if the utility grid goes down, there's a seamless changeover. The machine doesn't skip a beat, it just carries on working. And that we have seen here with these printing machines. What was happening before is when Zeso would go off, all the packaging would get gummed up in the machine. They'd fire up the generator, take a few minutes, but then they'd have to get guys in there, and it can damage the machines, and obviously it's a big delay in the production line. So with this beautiful system, that eliminates that from happening. And an added benefit is we can rely on the batteries depleting and put a little warning so that they can fire up the generator before the system shuts down, if it is to shut down, say at night time. Because these batteries will last about 4 hours, so around 10 o'clock at night, if there's no national grid, we can put a siren there, and they can hear the siren going. Power hasn't turned off yet, it'll give them time to fire up the generator, get up to speed, and do the changeover to, again, not disrupt production. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is, of course, having the green energy is a very nice benefit. We want to go green. The world is very determined to go net zero and reduce our fossil fuel usage, etc. So going green with renewable power, there's no greater renewable power in Africa than the sun.
So just quickly, one of the things that hinder businesses from doing solar is the initial cost. Could you give us an idea how much it costs to set up a system like this? Or yes, probably an idea what it costs to set up solar systems for residential?
So I'll start up by saying that the beauty that we've seen in the solar industry of the last couple of years is prices have really come down. Panels used to be $200, $300 for like a 330 watts, but now we're seeing panels less than $100 for even a 585 watts. So the same is true of the batteries. The pricing has really come down. So on a timing perspective, now is a really great time to start seeing the benefits from a cost perspective. One of the other challenges that Zimbabwe faces is that the banking systems are not really offering too many loans or anything like that, so credit becomes a problem. So in this instance, a commercial solar system, generally speaking with a battery, you can say it's around $1 per watt. Okay. So this is 500 kilowatts, which means 500,000 watts. So we could say this system is $500,000 ballpark figure. A lot of businesses don't have the capital outlay to just put that forward.
Yeah.
So the added benefit that we are offering is finance now, where we just ask for a small deposit, maybe 20 to 30%, and then they can repay the system over the next 3 years or 4 years, depending on the requirements. And the beauty that we've seen with that is what the customer was already spending every month on the utility grid plus the diesel generator, they're now just changing that payment to loan,
financing.
but they're actually keeping much more of it in their own pockets where it belongs so that they can push their own businesses forward. And the beauty of the solar system is the return on investment begins the moment it switches on, because it's already starting to produce that power for your benefit.
How long do you think is a payment duration for
this solution?
investments?
On the savings that this client is making on his utility grid and diesel savings, it will pay for itself in 2.1 years. And they've taken a 3-year loan period just to stagger that a bit further. So they're reaping the rewards very quickly. After they've paid off the system, it's warranted for the next 10 years on the batteries and the inverter, and the next 25 years on the panels. And so we can say that for 7 to 8 years of that, they'll be reaping the full reward of the return on investment. But even when they are paying back that loan, they are still making savings. So it's much better. You're already spending that cost anyway, so every saving is a saving.
In terms of the numbers, how much are they really saving?
So we've calculated quite conservatively. We don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We are constantly monitoring the system and tweaking it. But at current rates, we're seeing that they are saving approximately 130 to 140,000 US dollars per annum. Using this system just on the utility grid alone. The diesel generator is a bit more difficult to calculate because when is the grid on, when is it off, how many hours are they running it a month? That can always be up and down, but they are using their generator 90% less than they ever would have before. There's always going to be a day or two where they might need to run the generator, but very, very rare. So the diesel savings are much more significant because the cost of diesel is much more expensive than the utility grid itself. Otherwise, everyone would just run a diesel generator 24 hours per day.
All right, so I have just 2 last questions. First, why did you go with the DIA system? Why?
Okay, so DIA was a great product that was in our portfolio to start with, and the client really took a liking to it for a number of reasons. It's a premium brand inverter, which means it's been tried and tested. It's not a no-name brand, it's well known, it's extremely reliable. The second thing is that the DIA hybrid inverter has a great capability of working without batteries. So you can have batteries
the
or not.
can work without batteries.
Yes. Whereas most hybrid inverters need the battery reference, but this one does not. So that was an added benefit. In fact, we ran the system for 1 month on grid-tied mode when there was no batteries while we were waiting for the stock to arrive. So the beauty was that the client could benefit from the solar production before
So
the
directly
batteries
the
arrive.
solar just come and it powers everything. That's
Yes,
it.
but it requires an AC reference from either ZESO or diesel generator to stay online. So as long as the utility grid was on, the system was running. And then thirdly, we have the fantastic benefit that DIA was the only equipment supplier that was willing to offer finance here in Zimbabwe. And like I said, the banking facilities were not up to scratch here in Zim. It's an unfortunate aspect of our lives here. But when the equipment supplier came to save the day, people were a lot more trusting to, because there's been a little bit of worry about dealing with banks, but if they know, oh, I'm just dealing with DIA, I know that there's not going to be any concerns. And those were the 3 main reasons why we teamed up with it. And then once we started to work with it, we really enjoyed how easy it was to work with and the interface as well as the support.
After seeing both the factory operation and the system behind it, the bigger picture starts to emerge. From factory floors to the energy system, this project shows what's required to keep a modern manufacturing running. Reliable electricity is no longer just about keeping the lights on, it's about keeping production moving, and it isn't just one factory story. Across Africa, businesses are rethinking how they power their operations. For manufacturers, reliable electricity is more than just reducing energy costs. Companies like DIA are helping make this possible through commercial inverters, battery storage system, and intelligent energy solutions. As more factories adopt solar, projects like this are showing what's possible for the future of Africa manufacturing.